5:30, I call this meeting.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, our first order of business is to enter non-public for reason A, motion or compensation of any public employee. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right, we will be back shortly. Back.
Back.
We are.
All right, make a motion to amend the agenda to move the student report up to the next item of business.
A second,
I'll second that.
Jamie?
Yes,
Yes. Yes. All right, Keegan, we welcome you on board.
So, January has been full of opportunity and excitement for our students. In January, we completed our final exams and assessments, which was mostly successful. I've heard from most of the students. Yet there was some complaint over exams, as there usually seems to be, as they're stressful, and I've heard from a lot of different teachers that they don't really agree with the exams, more so than the projects, as they don't believe that they fully assess the student's capability within that class. A lot of teachers utilize the projects as they show greater work ethic outside of class and in class. And also kind of the students, not like just their motivation towards their project and their pride towards it, which a lot of students, myself included, would agree with. Moving forward, we just started a new semester and have new classes, and I've heard great things about the new classes, and we have a new bell schedule as well, which has been mostly successful. It's shortened team time and lengthening classes, which some students have agreed with, but as I've talked to most students and some teachers, they don't love the new bell schedule, as it does shorten team time, because students really enjoy having team time, as I do too, but people do really enjoy the longer passing periods. And touching on team time, I'll mention something that I've previously mentioned. It is consistently the most wanted change in the handbook, and it's going to be the phone policy. And I've mainly heard complaints over team time, just that a lot of students don't actually complete their work. Even with the phone policy last year, they would just kind of sit there. And now this semester and this year, they've just kind of been lollygagging around and kind of, I've had experience with it, just kind of interrupting and kind of like hindering the work of others, which has been a little annoying. And the phone policy last year kind of allowed them to, for lack of better terms, kind of be quiet in the corner and kind of just hang out over there, which was nice for sure. And I've heard most teachers have kind of agreed with me on that one too. And said that it's a time for just kind of chillaxing in the day, and as most students do the work, some definitely do not, and it's kind of, there's loud and interruptive of others. Moving on, the final thing that I will cover is the communication when it comes to snow days. So this past week, on Thursday, we had a snow day, which was very nice, nice little break. But many students said that they didn't get the updates and their kind of parents got them. And a lot of students either don't see their parents in the morning because they either wake up later or parents are already at work, or they just kind of don't have that communication with their parents or family. So they've kind of had a hard time, and I've had a couple students tell me that they showed up to school when there either wasn't school or there was a 2-hour delay at the usual time of 7:20. And it was definitely a hindrance on them as they had to drive through the less than desirable conditions and were at school too early. So I think I could totally be off, but I think that last year and years past that the students have gotten emails through the school accounts that there was delays and snow days. I'm not quite sure on that.
Sure.
Okay, yeah.
I don't, I'm generally the one that pushes them out, and to my knowledge, that's never happened.
Okay.
We can certainly look into it.
That, I mean, that would be amazing if we could look into that.
It's a valid.
And yeah, other than that, January's been a very successful month, I believe. I haven't heard anything else.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Keegan? Okay.
I have one question. Have you all spoken as a student council, gone and talked to the principal about the phone policy?
Not
That's the
directly.
person who's gonna assess it, correct? So.
Okay, yeah.
Person to
All right, will do. Thank you so
talk
much.
to, yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I certainly appreciate you bringing up some really easy things for us to discuss and debate. Hopefully we can make some good change for you.
Thank you so much.
And I want to know how hockey's going, and you're a hockey player.
Yes, I am a hockey player. However, I have left the high school season. It was a rough start to the season, and it was a rough season last year for me, based on coaching. I was used to a certain level of play and certain style of coaching that I did not quite see
Okay.
this year and years past. So I decided to make the tough decision to leave the high school program, and I will be continuing with the club.
That's good to know. I know we'll be talking about the hockey program in
Nice.
the
Yeah.
future, so.
Do you mind if I say something about the hockey program really quick?
Sure.
Yeah, so I've heard from a lot of parents of the players, and kind of outsiders too, that I don't know if it's possible at all or in your guys' wheelhouse, just a co-op with Lebanon. Because, we've co-opted with, Monadnock for the past bunch of years, and it hasn't been the best as I've grown up in youth hockey and I've understood that in youth hockey is definitely a certain style of play that isn't, I'm not gonna say valuable to the players, but it is definitely different than the way the Upper Valley plays and Hanover plays. And I personally, know the coaching staff at Lebanon and most of the players as I play club with them. And I have nothing but good things to say about all of them and think that would be a very profitable benefit for our players to be able to co-op with Lebanon.
Well, that's a great suggestion. So when we do take it on, come tell us more.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
All right, so we'll talk about a lot of these things in the future agendas. So
Thank you so much.
appreciate it.
Of course, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Of course, yeah.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have a second?
Sarah second.
All right, I had one change that I'd like to see in the minutes from 127. In the description of kind of the background of changes to the portion of the article of agreement, it mentions the 2015 ADS change. That was not actually an ADM change, it was a study. ADM portion formula. But I wanted just to address that it's also regarding the revised valuation.
So where it says 2015 ADM change, it should say what?
It was a study of a
In 2015,
Yes.
is that correct? Thank you.
Does anybody have any other changes, concerns, questions?
I said minor typo there.
Yep.
Perfect.
It's done.
Thanks. All right, Jamie.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, there I am. I'm gonna abstain because I'm being very honest and I haven't had a chance to read through them.
Kevin, yes.
Joe, yes.
Yes. Yes. All right, thank you very much. On to new business. Did everybody have a chance to read the personnel list? And actually, a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second that. Just wanted to check. Oh, yeah, okay, because I saw Bill Botley, but it's not retiring for another year and a half or whatever. But good to know.
Good to know. All right, any other questions or concerns with the list? Seeing none, Jamie,
Teague, yes.
Kevin, yes.
Joe, yes.
Sarah, yes.
All right, next order is the 25-26 calendar. Deb, would you like to give us an update of what changes have been made on this?
Yes, I believe those some of those changes were included in a document in addition to the calendar. To look at the calendar, there are some things that we did that I feel were really important, and that is the teachers or the principals and directors took the calendar back to teachers and staff and said, what would you change? What did you like, etc. Then brought those back to a meeting and we looked at commonalities. So commonalities include things like a 2-week vacation during the Christmas holidays. It includes not having all of the half days for professional development. That not only came from teachers, but also came from parents, that was difficult. We looked at splitting up the parent-teacher conferences for the fall. So we have the high school on a couple of days, followed by the elementary the next week. We feel also that this will give a chance to parents who have children at many different levels, can then attend parent conferences where they might not have been able to do so before. So I think that it's a very thoughtful calendar, which also meets the state requirement that we cannot have more than 10 days different than the Keene calendar due to the CTE.
Yeah.
Say, I think it's excellent work. Those are a lot of things that people have expressed to me over the last year, especially with our calendar. So I was really glad to see those changes, especially the half days. Yes.
Oh, wait.
The question is it going later in June than it normally does? Or are we still finishing at the right same time? Okay.
Wow.
Thoughts, Jamie?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm unmuted. I like the 2 weeks at Christmas. We do that where I am. I think it's popular with people. It's a long, but boy, it's a long haul between February break and April.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
discussed that.
Yeah. Interesting. I know, because the new law, right? Yeah, it's
Right.
forcing us when we're districts are in Vermont as well. It's forcing us to change our normal dates. But no, otherwise, I think it looks great. I think the half-day thing's a great idea, and splitting up the parent-teacher conferences is a great idea.
Make a motion to approve the 25-26 calendar.
I'll second.
All right, with the first and the second, Jamie?
Big yes.
Kevin, yes.
Joe, yes.
Sarah, yes.
So yes, thank you. All right, the Region 13 agreement approval. Deb, can you give us a rundown of what changes have been made?
Yes, there aren't a lot of changes. I did ask Matt Upton to read through it just from the legal end. They do have we'll bring back the agreement every few years. This is just the regular agreement update. But I do not see many changes at all, and I don't see anything that would not be advantageous to us to follow.
For anybody who might be watching, the Region 13 agreement is our CTE agreement with, is it Keene and
Yes.
Monadnock? So just for everybody who's listening in. All right, I saw nothing in there that overly concerned me. All right, so I want to
Make a motion to approve the Region 13 agreement.
Second.
got a good thing going on here. Jamie, do you have any questions or thoughts on it?
No.
All right, anybody here at the table? All right, Jamie, how do you vote?
Big yes.
Kevin, yes.
Joe, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. All right, the next thing, we have 3 policies on the agenda for us to discuss. This is a first read, so I will entertain a motion to approve so we can discuss. I don't need that for first read.
I'm gonna do that for the first read.
Yeah, for first read, we're just waiting for that.
All right, does anybody have any thoughts, questions, concerns on these 3 policies? I had one thought for reading the parental objections to specific course materials. As I'm reading it, the second paragraph talks about sexuality and education, that parents can object and how that might work. And then we also look at IHAM, which is health education and exemption from instruction. Do we need that whole second paragraph that's already written into the next policy? Can we just simply reference it? Simplify?
That's what I thought too, and I was reading it. It's like it's restating the.
Restating what's it, it's basically the same paragraph, pretty much.
Well, and I think if we leave it in there, that it prevents people from going and reading the full text of IHAM. Which has a lot of good information.
If it's a duplication, I think we should just reference it, not restate it. We don't want duplications in it. It's so easy to get them out of sync, then at which point attached.
Jamie, do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh my God, I have so many thoughts about policies right now in the state of New Hampshire, you probably don't want to hear them.
It's gonna be, there's gonna be some changes coming, so.
Right, the legislature's gone wild
Yeah.
and there's over 1,000 educational bills right now.
Yeah,
These are some of them that will probably be, maybe, I'm not gonna say probably, I'm gonna be optimistic and say hopefully not, but will most likely be changed in this administration. And
Yeah.
so I think whatever we're reading and looking at tonight is subject to change. So
Yeah.
that in mind.
I think we can definitely take that paragraph out of IGE. I think the important part is that underline part, which is School Board Association recommended, just to make sure that parents feel that they can object, but nobody can, nobody else needs to really know about that.
I would like to make sure that's in both policies, so it is
Okay.
very clear.
All right.
I don't know if anybody else feels about that.
My only other thing is, the social networking website, GEBED. Just make sure that, our principals talk to staff and they get some feedback from them before we approve that policy without any feedback from faculty and staff. So
Yes.
that's a good, you just make that happen. I would appreciate that. So we have
Absolutely.
a chance to
Yep.
chime in.
And also so that they know it. That
Yeah.
it exists.
Right.
Absolutely. So what would that look like before we have a second read and adoption? Do we need to have people come and just let us know their thoughts on it?
If we ask the principals to, or if the superintendent could ask the principals to distribute it to their staff. And then they could solicit feedback and then they could get that feedback back to the superintendent who could then give it to us.
Yep, we will definitely do that.
Seems like the right chain of command. It seems like the right chain of command.
Yeah.
Going back.
Yeah. I don't think,
Is that something you think we could have for March 10th? But I think it's
so.
so important with all the things we have coming up to have this very clear.
yeah, I would like to get it done by March 10th.
So,
Is that feasible, Deb?
so one comment that y'all got to keep in mind too, that there are certain sections or parts of this that cannot be changed because they're part of the technology safety plans, right, for the districts. So while it's great to get feedback, we may just make sure that they understand that not all feedback may be actionable.
Right.
Well, and I think that a big part of the idea of letting them see it and have the option for giving us feedback is that they all are consciously aware that this policy exists, because I
Yes.
think the policy book is very big. And I, as a teacher, was not sure of every single policy that was in that policy book, so I, as a board member, am not necessarily familiar with every single policy, but but this one is very important for teachers to be aware of so that they can follow it. And also for administrators to be well aware of it so that they can enforce it.
Yeah, it's meant to be a preventive policy. We don't want anyone to not understand and then find themselves in a difficult situation.
All right, so having seen them all, are there any other questions, concerns, or changes you want to see at this time? All right, seeing none. Sorry, we're trying to get you out, Joe. You have 10 minutes.
There's a, in the folder that Mr. gave us, there's a thing called the invitation letter.
That's next.
Yeah, oh, that's what's on next.
Yes, so regarding the organizational study timeline, we discussed it at the last meeting, and that letter. I'm looking at this and feeling like it's a very aggressive timeline.
My first question on this invitation letter was, what isn't stated in here is an idea of how much time would be required to be on this committee. You know, something like that. If this committee needs to meet daily, you know, people need to know that before they volunteer to do that. You know, or weekly or monthly or yearly, you know, it's not clear here how. I mean, some of the dates on the timeline, you can see there's gonna be some meetings involved. But we should really give people, if we're gonna send out this invitation, we should really give people an idea of how much time they're committing to if they want to join this.
I actually feel as though the school board ought to have another meeting of the school board to put down some guidelines for what we want these committees to study.
Yeah.
Because I really am concerned that we would have 6 or 7 different committees with all coming together and thinking that there's different outcomes that they're researching, and then we don't end up with something conclusive that we can use.
A set of questions that we want them to look at,
Exactly.
so that, yeah, they may want to look at some other things too, but that those things are.
Here's the things we're asking. It's their business.
I do more work.
That's what I do more.
Initial meeting. Whatever.
But that's today.
I understand, but I don't think you have the time to do that today.
I don't.
And I also thought that was the purpose of the 17th meeting.
The one we're not having,
No,
No, March 7th.
March 17th.
when I'm not.
With the group, that was the time for that. So I think if we still need, we don't get groups people starting to come forward, we're not gonna start, we're gonna follow our timeline day one. Board, we talked some more about what's gonna happen on that March 17th meeting, the orientation meeting, so that we have we can provide better guidelines. We can do that on the 10th, March 10th. It's our next meeting.
Okay, so
I think a sentence like Joe is asking for, something in the lines of, we are anticipating this would be hour and a half meeting on the date specified, plus some time outside when we need to work individually.
in the letter, yes, we've had those things. So the intention of this is for March 10th to also be the school board coming together and determining what the outcome is that we want, so that we can give that directive to those research groups on March 10th. So
March
that's
17th.
so on March 10th, we will come up with those things, and we will present them on March 17th.
I think that makes sense.
there's a place in there where we actually get to all of us to be on the same page.
Oh, I
Well,
see a
you know,
February
it,
15th Saturday. Sorry, Jamie, I'm just trying to get some.
Sorry, I didn't mean Saturday, or like. Well, March 10th is the next.
February 15th.
And before that was its outreach.
February
On page
15th
one.
on the
Oh.
outreach is a Saturday.
Sorry. Which one? March
February
3rd.
15th. February 15th.
I want to see February 15th.
It's under phase one.
So
The timeline itself, I'm looking at the
Yeah.
letter. Okay, that's right. I was looking at the letter.
sorry.
Yeah, we could change that to be whatever day works for you. 14th.
Um, is the intent to send the letter, so it's the letter basically out
Yeah.
by this time.
No later than February 15th. How about that? We can keep the date.
So this Friday.
Yeah.
So are we good with the letter? Otherwise, what did we want to add to the letter?
Just
That's
the
another.
time.
Time for something right after the reports with the timeline for district study. Just some. Thing about in addition to the days on the study, additional. Additional time outside of. I have to get GPT up to tell me what to say.
that additional time may be necessary in order to complete the tasks to be on the committee. And so we're gonna send the attached draft timeline with this, right?
Yeah, it's LinkedIn.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm on my phone on that, because I have
Okay.
my regular computer, not the school district one. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I see it's underlined in blue. I think it's good. I mean, everybody's got to understand, we've never done this before. Something new, it's gonna be a work in progress.
We may get to October, and the answer is we need a whole other year to really determine more, and that becomes the report.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
very fluid at this
Yeah.
point.
Yep, but I agree that the time is of now, the time's of the essence, that we need to get it out there so people can at least start thinking about whether they want to help or not. And if nobody comes forward, well, guess what? Then we can go back to all the select boards and tell them.
All right, well, it sounds like we're all in the same, at least in the same boat. No, we are all on the same page, I think. So we're good with moving forward with that. Consider this our final. Excellent, motion for that. Joe, you only got about 5 more minutes, so
Anything else needs to be voted on for commissioner visitors?
definitely.
Treasurer's report, right?
Yeah, but we can, yeah.
Then I have a question.
Okay, so can I,
Motion to accept the treasurer's report.
thank you. Is
I'm in favor.
that a second?
That's a second.
Okay, go ahead.
It was.
I was voting on the treasurer's
report.
Okay, so Jamie?
Big yes.
Kevin, yes.
Sure, yes.
Sarah, yes.
I think it's the
Yes.
agenda.
Oh, oops.
So my question is that I was asked to start preparing quarterly reports for the communities. And I started working on that to provide for tonight. And you know, my initial reaction was like, okay, this is no problem. I was building reports and extracting data from Infinite Visions. And then I realized that that is only the direct expenses. So I want to know, what is it that you're wanting to see? A complete report, quarterly report by community, which would show the apportionment of all the methods in the high school. Or are you wanting to see direct expenses only? Because then that's gonna factor in onto what my next steps are and what it looks like. And then also the communities that have multiple schools, are you wanting it by school within the community, or is community total? Fine.
My understanding and what I would be looking for would be the direct expenses only, the SAU costs and the apportioning costs that way. Maybe share. And so it's those direct costs that we want to know if our formulas are working properly. If people are we're able to set those budgets and keep them. Because as cooperative, things are a little bit more fluid than normal. So yes, we want to see the data that says
So direct polling,
directly.
okay. And do you want it by building or just community?
Just keep, that's all I speak, only one.
One tax bill. So, and then the rest of the quarterly would be just the health of the district as a whole, like what are we looking at as a whole?
Yeah, the
So-
10,000-foot view of all of it together.
Okay,
The community one is not something we need to see quarterly, that's just, a snapshot of time, we would like to see like 5 or 10 years of data, how they have been. That was my understanding.
Are they overspending their budgets? And is it getting absorbed into surplus?
so my understanding was that you wanted me to do like community reports quarterly going forward. So it's, so I need to clarify my understanding side.
Yeah, okay, so we are looking for 2 different things.
Okay,
Quarterly, we want to see essentially what you're offering, what you've got here. You know, this financial report that shows where each of those functions have been spent, how much we have left, that kind of thing.
by community,
We talked about
directly,
this, how about this afterward, because that'd be,
okay,
yes, Lily.
Yeah, one-on-one, we're gonna have to adjourn right now.
okay.
I'm very sorry.
No worries.
That's okay. Is there
We
anything
can talk
else?
about that. after.
You're good. And I can't talk about any of it.
Oh,
You can talk.
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's just,
I just need some clarity.
okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Jamie,
Teague, yes, and thank you, Joe, for being there.
Thank you, Joe. God bless.
Oh, yes,
yes, yes, all right.
yeah, very sorry.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Joe. Glad you were here.
Pretty much, yeah, Joe, 6:30, everything.